My name is Michael. I am the Creator Relations Manager for VIVERSE. I'm joined by David Goodwine, and I'll introduce him a little bit more first. But quickly about VIVERSE, please go check out our demo down by the stage down there. We are a web-based platform for 3D content, and we specialize in helping creators build for the web and monetize their work through the web browser. So we'd love to show you more about what we're working on. But today with David, we're talking with a industry veteran and just really accomplished educator about what newcomers to the industry can, what different strategies they can take on to leverage and excel in the industry. So, David, you are the executive director of the School of Game Development at the Academy of Arts University. Do you want to maybe give a little bit of an introduction to your background, both
Sure.
as an educator and game developer?
So I graduated from the Academy of Art in the 90s. And when I got out, I was a 2D animator. So that's what I started out doing, flipping pages. But I kind of, got out of that while I was at Wild Brain, which used to be here in the Mission, doing 2D animation, and I switched over to production. So after I was at Wild Brain for a while, I went to a company, DreamWorks, PDI, and was there working on Shrek and Minority Report and a bunch of other films earlier in the 2000s. But then I had the opportunity to switch out of film. Thank you. and I got into games. So I left that to go to Electronic Arts to work on Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, and Return of the King, and a few others from that. And then went to Crystal Dynamics and worked on Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain, Defiance, which just got remastered for the PS5 now, and a few others. And then just a little after that, I was asked to help start the school for game development in 2009. 17 years later, I'm doing this. So
That's amazing. Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about your experience
Thanks.
in the industry, but also maybe we'll start just as an educator, in 2026 as you see students entering the workforce for the first time. Maybe just set the scene of, what do you see attributes of students or the different approaches that they're taking to the industry that have allowed some of your more recent graduates to be successful?
Well, I mean, for everybody, we have a new cohort that's going to be graduating this spring. But, I try to get as many companies to come into the school and do portfolio reviews and talk to the students, and they're looking. Sure, are there layoffs and there's stuff like that's happening? Yes, but their companies are still looking. So when I have them come in to talk to the students, they see their portfolios. I mean, that's the thing, is you really have to really work at your portfolio and make sure that it's everything that they need, whether it's concept art, 3D art, whatever, game design, game programming, whatever your focus is. They want to see that you know how to do it.
Yep.
And like when, I'll wait till
I'll
wait till you get to that question.
Well,
okay.
we met because many of your students participated in a hackathon that VIVERSE was hosting last fall.
Right.
And your students just did absolutely fantastic. They won, quite a few of the top prizes. But we were.
So I mean, we have one particular class where you're really pushing. You're just working in a studio basically. So it's all geared for creating the content, making sure that you're coming through, you're meeting your deadlines. There's a few students out here that are in that class. But it's basically you're working in the software, so you're making these games, whether it's in VR, AR, PC, we do mobile, pretty much sometimes we'll make console games. But it's really about, what's fun about the game, what are you putting into that game, and does it look good too, right? But with the VIVERSE, we were able to get a few teams together. They were able to work from wherever they were. So the teams that made the first place and second place games, none of them were together. They were all remote. So they all worked together to create these games. And then some of the people that did the sound effects and the music were at school. Yeah. So they had all worked together to create these two games, and they won.
Yeah, they did so fantastic. I had slides up for Ditto and Office Crash Out, which were those top two kind of games in the game category.
Right.
And quite often when we're working with students and just even developers in general, bringing content to the web for the first time, we find that optimization and building for the web browser can often be a challenge that is not usually taught. Building for the web browser specifically in university, but I think there's a lot to touch on there with how your students adapted to it. But first and foremost, a lot of students are building for Unreal Engine and trying to build incredibly high fidelity experiences. Yep. What you see here, the gameplay is what stands out and how quickly they developed it. But what do you tell students who might be worried about just going into Unreal Engine?
We've had students that have gone off and made their own companies and made their own games, and whether they used Unity, Unreal, whatever the engine was, they went off and did that, right? But I think part of the problem was, like, when I started in this, you couldn't make a game without belonging to a company. Yep. Or had a lot of money to buy an engine. Yep. Until Unity and that started coming out, and it was free at the time, right? To use to whatever you needed to make. When I first started in this, I was making a lot of Flash games, and that was, that it just cost enough to buy the software, right? And and those were the things that ran on browser all the time. But obviously, what happened to Flash, so that's not a thing anymore.
VIVERSE lives a little bit in the legacy of Flash games, from Flash games then to more I/O games. I grew up playing I/O games all the time. And now there are platforms like VIVERSE that have a lot of these different experiences, and now also very high visual quality experiences beyond just the 2D.
Well, and I think that's the thing with creating something in the VIVERSE where you have it's already there. Mm-hmm. I need to make some content, but you don't have to make this isn't high-end content, right? But it was fun to play. People enjoyed playing it, but it's not a Horizon Zero Dawn. It's not that type of game, right? But there's lots of games out there that are like that people enjoy playing. Yeah. And if you can make some money with it too, great.
Absolutely. And we've been delighted to have your students work on the platform. Maybe for a little bit more context for folks, at VIVERSE, there are many opportunities for developers to earn just based on engagement. So most users of web games aren't necessarily buying premium titles. They're more just playing and seeing ads. We actually specialize in very few advertisements, very few interruptions to the gaming experience, and rewarding creators based on the amount of engagement that their title is able to produce. So just paying based on engagement rather than like an advertising revenue share. Right. And overall, we see the web as this area for disruption that has a lot of culminating factors. Number one, the hardware is getting powerful enough to really any mobile device can run a high quality 3D experience. Right. And then number two, the software that's powering the web browser, and especially 3D rendering in the web browser with web GPU, is just making it very possible for high quality, expansive experiences to live in there.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Now it's a little, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier to make a game. Let's say the VIVERSE, go in, make that game, get it out there, see how people like it, make adjustments to it. If a lot of people don't play it, make another one. Yeah. Right?
On the getting it out there part, are there any classes at your school for marketing or especially social media these days?
So yes and no. So we when we're doing the classes that we create the games in, we usually attend things like GDC and PAX and Comic-Con and all these other places, and we have people play them at those.
Yeah.
And we've had some that they've been really interested in purchasing, but that's not why I'm making them, right? I'm making them, we're making them to get people to notice that these games are being made by students. And we don't buy packets, we make all the artwork,
Yeah.
we do all the coding, we create all the levels and everything like that goes with it. And really it's just a way for students to be able to show the companies what they can do.
Yeah. What have you found for students who are maybe starting their own studios, very small scale? What have been more of the success stories of the folks that have been able to make maybe a semi-viral hit and leveraging new things like social media for getting them out there?
Yeah, that's the one thing. So there are some classes that are in like the advertising department and that they can take to, if that's something they're interested in doing on their own. Mm-hmm. In other instances, they'll collaborate with maybe some of the other students in the other departments mm-hmm. to help them with their social media, because we've got 23 schools.
Yeah.
So depending on if it's hard to do everything, right?
It's a lot of work for an indie developer or a small team to cover marketing on top of making a really good piece.
But we've had quite a few that have come together, made a game at the school, kept, they still wanted to work on it, and they formed basically a small company and kept going.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We oftentimes when we're working with our creators, they are small teams, many times also indie developers.
Right.
And a lot of the time we do some coaching and help with the marketing side of things to get your content discovered on social media or other curation surfaces. The great thing about VIVERSE is that we want your content everywhere, just like embedding a YouTube video as an iframe, we want VIVERSE experiences to be able to be shared just as easily. But it's a big learning curve, especially for folks who have never done it before, about what it takes to really get it viewed on social media. It's relentless. It's a whole nother
it is.
artistry.
It's a whole nother job.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's something that's necessary. If you want people to know that your game is available and being able to be played, you got to let people know.
Yeah. Back in you did some Flash games in the past.
Yeah. I mean, it was when, just the beginning of the internet, and we had to worry about 2 meg files, not like crashing the system. So, we built little loaders that were interactive games at the beginning, so it gave people something to do while it was all loading in the background. Because we've crashed at that time. We crashed hundreds of computers because of that.
For reference, the lowest performance standard that we have on the web is typically 1 gigabyte of RAM for iOS phones specifically. So, it's come a long way. In terms of the file
for sure.
Size
it has changed greatly, which is great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Where are we at here? I think we can start opening it to questions if folks have questions for David about his work at the university, or myself for VIVERSE here.
Anybody?
Yes. Yeah, maybe I'll talk a little bit about the opportunities to build with VIVERSE. So we have 2 options if you want to earn on VIVERSE. You don't have to participate. We love having people who are just building to share their content. It's free hosting, by the way. But the partner program and then creator grants. The partner program is for anyone who wants to use our monetization tools, earning based on engagement, in-app purchases. If you do want to launch a premium title, we offer a 90% revenue share for developers for the first year, then 80% after that. What else? Thank you. And then creator grants. This is guaranteed funding. It's a more selective group. Pretty much anyone who genuinely wants to launch a game on VIVERSE can participate in the partner program. It's a pretty quick application process, and you can upload your content as easily as dragging a zip file. And you can also build with whatever tools you want to. So David's students built with Unity, but we've also had people building with more web native frameworks like PlayCanvas or 3JS. Unreal Engine 5 is not exactly compatible, but if you have an Unreal Engine 4 game, some people still do.
Right.
That's compatible as well, and then basically everything else. But the creator grants offer guaranteed funding for anyone who wants to build a new piece of content. I'm about to share. I'm doing a kind of recap of the first year of the creator program when we've done about 120 projects, including a couple of university projects too. And I think the average amount is somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 of funding. So it's a great opportunity if you're just getting started, if you have a portfolio piece that you need a little bit of support with to participate in that.
Good to know.
I had one really quick question and then one slightly longer question. The School of Game Development, I'm not familiar with it. Is it a part of the Academy of Art?
It is.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it is. We started that in 2009. There's probably about 600 students in that department,
Okay.
and they're all kind of split up between the 4 areas that we kind of focus on. But yeah, it's part of it.
Okay. And then my second question is for just if you have any, what would be the one big piece of advice you have for students who are maybe in their senior year, in their last quarter of their senior year, who are about to enter the job market and stuff like that? Do you have any one big piece of advice you would give?
You know, there's a few. I would say the one thing is don't give up. I mean, that's the thing is, when I first started in this, I put out all kinds of resumes. And keep in mind, I went back to school when I was in my 30s, so I thought it was going to be even harder, right? But I made sure I didn't give up on it because this is what I wanted to do. I mean, my first degree is in exercise physiology, and I did that for like 9 years, but it's not what I liked. I've been almost done this 30 years now, and there hasn't been a day that I'm like, oh my God, why did I do this, right? But there's been times that you're like, oh my God, I'm here till 2 a.m. trying to finish this game, and it still happens. I don't think it happens as often as it used to, but it still does, right? Especially when you're in the end of your process to ship. So. But it's been something I really love doing, and if it's something that you see yourself doing for a long time, don't give up on it. I mean, yes, is this market kind of crazy right now? But it has ebbed and flowed like this. Seems like every 10 years there's something. So when I graduated from the school, they had shut down all of the 2D animation houses, and I was a 2D animator. And I was like, oh, great, now what am I going to do? So I had to pivot a bit, but it worked, right? And then that happened in 2008, and it's happened again now. So I would just keep at it. But I think the other thing is, too, you have to look at, you have this idea of where you want to be, where it's, let's say, I want to be at Blizzard, or I want to be at some of these really AAA title companies. You may not start there. So I would look at, especially in the indie space, there are so many games out there now that when I started in this, that wasn't the case. But there's, like, you can make games on the VIVERSE, you can make games in other platforms and maybe get your game up on Steam or work for a smaller indie company. Like all these people that are downstairs, they're making their games and they're doing whatever they need to get it out there, right? So look at that. So that's what I would say.